Hey, it's Holden here alongside JSU. We're going to lead you right up, get you pretty close to kickoff today. We've got obviously the wind is the big one. Some people are freaking out, some people aren't. I'm probably in the camp where I'm freaking out more than most people when I saw this. And I'll tell you this much, JSU, Tuesday, I saw the forecast. I just started banging unders on the bet side, and that was it. But as you and I discussed before the game, just because the totals were so high back then, as you and I discussed, though, there's 5 or 6 games with wind, and now we're here in Kansas City. 5 or 6 games, at least 2 of these games are going to go off, right? It's not like every game is going to be stifled because of it.
Well, I think too that this slate comes down to how you're approaching it, right? Are you approaching it where in your builds you're kind of just going fading the weather games in general or being massively underweight and going overweight on one or two spots that have no weather impact whatsoever? Or are you playing the ownership game where some of these weather spots are probably going to be a little under owned than what they would have been, obviously, without the weather? So are you going to play the weather game and say, you know what, I'm just going to go overweight on one of these weather games? Hopefully that's the game, like you said, is going to be the game, or two maybe, that goes over. I think the Green Bay game, even though it has bad weather and wind, still has the potential to score some points and go over, personally, because I think both these teams could have some success on the ground. I don't worry about Aaron Rodgers with the wind. He's still got Devontae Adams. Yes, does it impact their down the field passing game? For sure. It impacts both teams' down the field passing game. But I just don't see that. That hasn't been a big weapon for Rodgers this year that much anyways. Really, the only game where it's been was the first time they played Minnesota, and that's really it. So if anything, it actually helps Minnesota. I think Minnesota can keep this game close. If you're in for betting, I think this game stays more close, where if I was betting this game, I might take the points with Minnesota.
Here's my concern over there. First of all, you've got a really, I think, below mediocre quarterback in Kirk Cousins, right? Second of all, like, if he's going to do anything today, it's all going to be yards after the catch. I think.
But I think
guys.
that's the case for most of these weather games, right? Like
Right.
if you're looking for the 20 plus yard down the field passes, they're going to be very few in these weather games, especially like the Cleveland game. I mean, Derek Carr doesn't like to throw it like more than 20 yards very rarely in nice weather games. Like, you think their plan is to go deep with Ruggs? Like, that's definitely not their plan. Even Aguilar, what has Aguilar done? And I came into this week before the weather and all that stuff, and I really wanted to play Nelson Aguilar. But dude's been catching like 30, 40-yard touchdowns.
I know.
Those won't be here this week. I wanted to play these guys. I just can't do it. I think you got to play the running game if you want from this game. Darren Waller, the tight end situation from both teams, I think are in play if you'd like them. But all in all, I mean, the Cleveland side, you want a cheap receiver. Peoples-Jones, Higgins had a good game last game. Jarvis Landry just looks injured to me. Just not right, in my opinion. So I think I'm just kind of staying away from mostly the passing side of that game. I'll play some Hunt. I'll play some Cleveland defense. I think playing the defenses in these weather games are obviously fine. And, you can spread that out a little if you're making multiple lineups. But that to me is going to be the key, is like, in my opinion, you pick one of these weather games and you go a little heavier on it, whatever one you like the most, and you pair it with your favorite non-weather game, whether it be the San Francisco game. I know Tennessee and Cincinnati, that's weather too. The weather isn't holding as bad as the other three games, correct? But there's still wind, right? There's still a decent amount of wind there. But still, if you like Joe Burrow, you like Tyler Boyd, Gio, whoever you like from that game, like I think what you want to do is take one of these weather games and pair it with one of the nicer games on the slate, San Francisco and Seattle obviously being another one.
All right, very good. Get your questions going. The show's for you guys too. We'll get you the questions. Want to get to your core. A little worried because I am on Jimmy G this week too. So you might want to change your lineups. I see Dalvin. I see Williams. I see Bourne. DK Metcalf, who I'm totally with you on this one. Everybody's going to be on Lockett. DK is the guy that can burn them deep. And then Jonnu as well. So how'd you come up with this DK core?
Yeah, so I mean, it has a little bit of a mix of, some value and, some studs to pay up for. And first of all, let's talk about the running back situation, because I got a lot of questions on Dalvin Cook and, how I got there. A few people asked me how I got there. A few people were, like, I don't know if I want to play Dalvin Cook. Like, that seems a little risky to me. But this is a GPP core. And also, if we take out the fact that Dalvin Cook's coming out off an injury, which we all know, that's great. The coach said he's going to get his full work. He is active. He's going to play, expected to play. So if he's getting his full workload, if we looked at his price at $7,500 on a normal week, not coming off an injury, he'd be one of, in my opinion, he'd be looked at as almost a little bit of a value on DK. I think FanDuel has him priced correctly, whereas on DK, he looks to me like a value play. And he has the upside of any one of these top guys. You got Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt, all in that kind of price range above and below him. He's going to be the guy ownership-wise that gets left out. And I think he has just as much upside as any of those guys. Minnesota, all they want to do is run the football. Doesn't matter the weather. Now they've got the weather. I think the weather in some aspects could help this game stay a little closer, because it might, in my opinion, it hurts Aaron Rodgers more than Kirk Cousins, because Kirk Cousins, we don't worry about down the field passes, right? A lot of what they do is short and intermediate and the after the catch run, like you said. Like, you think if they do anything with the pass, it's going to be shorter passes after the catch run. Well, they have Thielen and Justin Jefferson, like that's what they do. You know what I mean? So it makes sense. Also, they like to use the running back in all different spots, passing, running. They're really good run scheme. They can run on anyone. Doesn't matter how good the defense is. We saw it a couple weeks ago with Seattle, where Dalvin Cook got hurt, but Seattle was supposed to be this solid run defense who was terrible against the pass. Well, what did Minnesota do? They don't care. They went in there and they just gashed him on the ground. Not only Dalvin Cook, but Alexander Mattison came in and he ran for over 100 yards when Cook went out. I mean, they absolutely just dominated them. And did they expose a weakness, or was that just that their plan, no matter what, is to go into games and give the ball to the running back, put them in third and short situations for Kirk Cousins to succeed? That's what they want to do no matter what. And that's where the short passing game comes in. So I think Dalvin Cook makes a ton of sense here with this weather. Jamal Williams obviously makes a lot of sense as a bring back. I still see him as a value on some of these sites price wise. And I like this game to stay close. And if I like this game to stay close, I want two of the better plays in this game. That's Jamal and that's Dalvin Cook to me. Devontae Adams is obviously up there too, if you like him. My lean for a wide receiver on the Green Bay side is definitely Justin Jefferson, but like him a little more on FanDuel at his price.
Very good. We're getting somewhere here, guys. Let's go over to the FanDuel side, though. And then Burrow, Henry, hopefully he scores 2-3 times today. Back to Boyd, Justin Jefferson, Ayuk. God, I love Ayuk today. I got him. I play very little on FanDuel anymore, and I have a hard time fitting him in on DraftKings. But I get a lot of people are going to be on Kendrick Bourne, and Kittle. But isn't Ayuk a hell of a play this week too?
Yeah, for sure. And on FanDuel, look at the price differential on FanDuel and DraftKings with Ayuk. On DraftKings, he's like 2,300 more than Bourne, or 2,200 more than Bourne, where on FanDuel, they're only a $900 difference. So I think you might see a swap where on DraftKings, Ayuk is lower owned than Bourne, and on FanDuel, Ayuk is going to be higher owned than Bourne. That's just like the way it's going to go with how much he saves. Bourne would save you on DK as opposed to on FanDuel. But I think both these guys are strong plays. I think Jimmy G, I know we'll get a ton of questions as we go. Yes, he's going to be popular. Do we worry about quarterback ownership? No, you should not worry about quarterback ownership, because even at high ownership, is he going to be 20%? Like, he's extremely cheap and he's going to be 20%. Like it was like Kyler Murray was 20% against Seattle. Or what was it, last week? Was that last week? And Russell Wilson was, highly owned as well. We still played Kyler. Like, Kyler was still the core. And what Kyler ended up doing, he was one of the top 2 quarterbacks on the entire slate, put up 41. And now you're getting a discounted quarterback. He's not Kyler at 7+K or whatever he was, 8 something on FanDuel. This guy's 6,600 on FanDuel, 5,400 on DraftKings, $26, I think, or 27 on Yahoo. Just a very, cheap, affordable price. And I'm going to be overweight. I just think the way to do it is to go overweight on the situation. And I'm going to play his weapons. I want 2 weapons with him in my lineup, and I'm bringing it back with DK Metcalf is the way I'm kind of just building a lot of my MME builds. Even on FanDuel, I have Burrow as the QB in my core, my main team on FanDuel for sure. But in MME situation, I'm definitely going to be overweight on just stacking up Jimmy G on FanDuel, even in that millie. And again, I'm going to play around with the stacks. On DK, Tevin Coleman's minimum price, I think he's in play, even though we don't know his role. He's activated. They have no Mostert, no Jeff Wilson. So he's the goal line back. Like, no matter what they do with McKinnon and Hastings, like, he's the guy in the goal line will get the carries as long as he's fully healthy, which I don't think they would have activated him if he wasn't fully healthy. And they talked about McKinnon having tired legs. So if McKinnon has tired legs, they didn't play him last week. They're not just going to run McKinnon out there for 40 or 50% of the work. I think McKinnon sees a small amount of work in this game. So even if McKinnon gets some work, Hastings gets some work, I still see a large enough role for Tevin Coleman at 4K on DraftKings where he's going to be viable to me in tournaments. And yes, there's a risk where this guy doesn't play a lot at all, just like we saw McKinnon last week. But that's a risk I think I'm willing to take in GPPs. I think you compare him with Jimmy just because they're so cheap. And then Bourne, Ayuk, Kittle, all these guys are all in play. And my advice is just like, take 2 of the weapons, bring it back with your favorite Seattle guy, whether that be DK or Lockett. That's up to you.
So here's another one. And I'm looking at the Steelers-Ravens game. Nobody's talking about this game. Everybody's expecting it to be a defensive struggle. Maybe it is. Maybe it is, JSU. But are there any plays? Do you feel comfortable with Lamar, Andrews, Marquise Brown, other side of things, Deontay Johnson, Claypool? What are we doing with the passing game? And then Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, so for that game, I'm probably going to just stay away from it. A division game, both these teams are pretty solid defensively. Lamar has just not looked right. I'm staying away from Lamar, but I understand if people want to play the ownership game with Lamar. My advice would be, if I'm on DK, I'm probably playing Lamar naked. I don't think I would play him with an option. I think Marquise Brown is a little too expensive. Mark Andrews would be the guy if I had to pick a weapon, but I'd probably play him naked. Now on FanDuel, I think Marquise Brown is actually a decent value over there at his price tag, 5,900. So I don't mind Marquise Brown as much at that price tag over there. But in general, I hate picking between the Pittsburgh receiver rotation. Like, is it Deontay? Is it Juju? Yeah, last week, Juju got 14 targets. Deontay got 2 touchdowns. What's going to happen this week if Chase Claypool catches 2 touchdowns or James Washington? They've just got so many weapons. And then James Conner, no, it's not a great situation, but they still use him a ton. They'll use him in the passing game a little, use him a bunch in the running game. Like, there's just so many guys to pick from, and I don't love this game, so I think I'm just staying away. And then J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards, I don't want to. Justice Hill could go into this rotation where in the end, yeah, maybe Gus Edwards sees the most, but if Justice Hill gets involved and sees 15 or 20%, well, now it went from a split backfield to maybe the most someone got is 40%. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just don't want to pick in these situations. I rather go for more preferred spots here.
All right. There's some news coming out here. So Burrow in Cincinnati, the guy's playing without all 5 opening day starters on the offensive line. Not that it was a great line, but this is really concerning. And the one guy that is going to start this week, because they had so many injuries last week, is a free agent that's going to start his second. He's a free agent on the street.
God, this does not make anyone, including me, feel comfortable about Joe Burrow.
No.
Like, I don't know how this can make anyone like. Here's the thing. Tennessee is going to be able to score on Cincinnati. Like, they have the right that this team is going to be able to put up points. Joe Burrow is going to play from behind, in my opinion, for most of this game, if not all of it, right away. So that, from that standpoint, I'm like, okay, at least they're going to be trailing. They're going to need to throw a bunch. The problem is, can they protect him enough where Joe Burrow can get the ball out down the field? He doesn't want to, dump off, right? Joe Burrow is not like someone who wants to just dump it off. He wants to go down the field. I expect that Tyler Boyd is the guy who benefits the most, because that inside, that slot, he goes to him when he's in trouble a lot. So he would be my favorite target in this whole thing. But nothing about this makes me feel comfortable. I just think that Tennessee's pass rush is something we also have to talk about too, because their pass rush is not good at all. So it's like a tale of, 2 stories. Like, you got a bad pass rush defense. The offense is going to be playing from behind. So Joe Burrow is going to have to throw the ball. Can they protect him enough? My thing is, they're probably going to use the running back to chip. The tight end's going to stay in and block a lot and help out the offensive line as much as possible. So, and Joe Burrow is somewhat mobile. Like, he can move a little bit. Like, he can use his legs. I expect him to kind of do that. But it's definitely concerning. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be an easy start today. It's as simple as that. Like, could you see yourself getting away from him before the start of the slate, or you're in on him?
I still think that in the end, even if it's in the second half and it's all garbage time, like this team at Tennessee, at some point, they're just going to play prevent if they're up a lot, and Joe Burrow is going to be able to get some garbage time, work done. I think I'm still going to stick with it on FanDuel at his price. But again, I mean, it's not something I feel 100% as confident as I did before. I think Jimmy G is a great option if you just want to, pivot off Joe Burrow. Ryan Tannehill is really cheap on FanDuel as well. If you're not into paying that much for Derrick Henry, but you want a piece of this game, Ryan Tannehill is really cheap. There's other ways to go. You want to pay up for Russell Wilson and just get the safe, quarterback in Russell Wilson, who's, he's definitely, like, him and Mahomes are the 2 best quarterbacks on the slate, just that they're really expensive. But still, I'd be fine with doing that. Just all depends on what you want to go. I still think Burrow can get it done. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I had it baked in as the week went on too. And the 2 guys, there's actually like 4 guys that I like this week, and Burrow's one of them. Hold your breath on Jimmy G. Russell Wilson. How do you not go to? I mean, Russell Wilson could just destroy everything this week, just murder everybody. Then the last one, I'm intrigued by Patrick Mahomes, is all I'll say. I'm just intrigued. 3/4.
Here's the thing, though, is 3/4 of Patrick Mahomes with the fact that the wind's blowing, they're going to be able to run the ball on the Jets. That does not make me feel comfortable about Pat Mahomes. Even though I still think, like, if you're looking for 250 and 2, like, that's a lot. Like, I think he throws for that. But again, he's so expensive. Wouldn't you rather the upside of Russell Wilson in a potential game that could be back and forth? Like, I don't know. Like, to me, I would take Russell all day over Pat Mahomes in this scenario.
Russell over Pat Mahomes. Yes, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But here's the one thing about that offense, the Kansas City offense. I find them to be extraordinarily inconsistent. I don't think they've really played but maybe one game all 4 quarters. And I just feel like today, going against this Jets team, they can murder them. Just murder them.
Yeah, they absolutely could. So you just talked about them being inconsistent, though. So what are you worried
To this
about?
point this season, this is the matchup, though, to where they could just get going.
Yeah, so we're not worried in this matchup. I think that's my problem, though, is like, okay, here's the thing. So last week, who was Cleveland played? Was it Cincinnati last week? Who did Cleveland play last week? Was it Cincinnati? I think it was Cincinnati. Yes, okay. Yes. Because they played Gio. And this was one of the things I said. Cincinnati Cleveland's really good against the run, but terrible against the pass. And Joe Burrow is going to be able to get it done because they're not going to use Gio as much in the run game. They're going to be able to pass the ball and get it done. When you look at the Chiefs team against the Jets, they could literally do anything they want. That's my problem. Is it's not as easy as like, well, this team is a pass funnel or run. Like this team, you can beat them. I wouldn't be shocked if their defense scored 2 touchdowns and like just broke the slate that way. I mean, what happens if Sam Darnold throws a pick 6 right in the beginning of the game? Pat Mahomes gets a touchdown. They rush one in. At halftime, it's already 21-0 or 28-0. You're sitting there going, well, my Pat Mahomes teams are dead because now they're just running the clock out for the rest of the game. Like, that's my worry is like, I don't trust the Jets offense. Like, I just don't.
Well, no. Here's the one thing you're hanging your hat on with Mahomes too. We've seen him, and I got to go back and look this up. We've seen him throw for just 3 touchdowns in a quarter multiple times. Like, they'll just look like shit the whole game. And then all of a sudden he's like, okay, it's time to go. Let's do it. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm just throwing Mahomes out there. I got 1 lineup with him. I got 5 lineups this week, 1 with your core, 1 with Big T's core. G Ryzen keeps
gotta throw it. I mean, even I gotta throw a Big T core in there. You gotta do it.
Which one do you like?
You gotta. Well,
Burrow,
I mean,
right?
I'm gonna throw his. I have the lineup saved. I gotta do it after the show, but I'm definitely gonna have to have a big. Yeah, his guy is. Was it Herbert or Burrow in his core? I can't remember.
He likes Burrow on DK and Stafford.
I'm talking about DK.
Yeah, Burrow.
You know, even though he's got that terrible Jonathan Taylor player probably in his core.
He does. He does.
I still got to do it. I think just
I'll
for Big T.
I just got done doing that show with JJ on the bet side, and 2 weeks ago he threw out a number. I'm like, oh, he's totally going over, and then he says, no, let's bet.
I remember this. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he goes under by like he didn't get his touchdown.
Listen, I'm not a fan of Jonathan Taylor, and
this week
JJ is by far the biggest Jonathan Taylor hater I've ever met, and I'm not a fan of him either. Like, I don't think he's very good. But yeah, this week I even said it on I think his price tag. My problem with him, and I said it on the show, is if you look at it from a matchup standpoint, you'll say, well, the matchup's pretty good. The problem is that his price tag for what he's been doing, in my opinion, is a little high. Like, it's just. Kareem Hunt's in the range, like 300, right? Like he's 6,600, I think, on DraftKings. That just seems a little high, but if you're playing it for an ownership leverage play, I get it. It's a good matchup. He's overpriced, but everyone's going to play Kareem Hunt in that situation where they have, it's a $300 difference. So I understand why you would do it. Indianapolis has a great offensive line, and I always talk about it. Offensive lines are the key. Even if you get bad running backs, you give them a good offensive line and a good scheme. Doesn't matter. They can still get it done. So, again, I get why you would play him this week. I just think he's not a good running back. It's like Tony thinks Todd Gurley is dusty. Tony thinks that Brandon Cooks is bad or dusty or whatever. Like, I just don't think he's good. Like, I can still have that take and play a guy. I don't think Todd Gurley's good, but I'll still play him in plus matchups. Like, that's what happens.
Let's see here. I want to get to your tight ends too, because I thought this was interesting.
Hold on. I want to answer this question here because Redmond put it in the chat, and I just want to answer it. So he says, you're usually a big Galladay guy. Any reason he isn't in your tiers this week, and thus assume you aren't a fan? So, Redmond, I would assume that you're looking only at the FanDuel tiers. I would assume, because DK tiers, I have him, as my third guy in my DK tiers. where on FanDuel, I don't have him in my tiers. And the reason is because I think on DK, for me, it's a little, I like his price a little better. And on FanDuel, at his price, I'm just playing a lot more DK Metcalf. So it took my DK shares. And also on FanDuel, I have a bunch of those high price running backs. So if you look at my tiers, I want to explain this to people so they understand the difference here. If you look at my tiers on FanDuel, I have two expensive wide receivers, DK Metcalf and Devontae Adams. Both those guys are the two guys I had rated above Kenny Golladay on DK. This is on FanDuel now. After those two, everyone else in my tiers is 6,400 or less. Because in my builds, I'm going with an expensive wide receiver in DK or Devontae or both, and then cheap wide receivers because I have a lot of the expensive running backs. I have Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt, Jamal Williams, and then I have a cheap guy in Darrell Henderson. So like this is how you can look at my tiers and figure out how my builds are going. Look at it. I'm playing one of the top receivers in DK or Devontae. I'm just making that decision easy for you guys. Pick one or the other, or playing both. But like in most of my lineups, I pick one or the other. Then you play Tyler Boyd, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, Kendrick Bourne, Marquise Brown. All these guys are somewhat cheap and affordable on FanDuel to me, and it kind of helps kind of fill in the spots for you guys at what I'm doing. Jamal Williams, 7K on FanDuel, nice value. Darrell Henderson, nice value if you want a sneaky tournament play. Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry are definitely, the up top plays that I'm kind of keying in for you guys at the top, and Kareem Hunt as well. So it just kind of depends. Like you have to look at my tiers, and that's how you can kind of figure out where I'm going. I just want to explain it because on DK, I have more value plays. Kendrick Bourne, I talked about, I'm going to be heavier on. Jonnu Smith. It's just, to me, there's a little more value over there to build lineups. It's a little bit easier. Where on FanDuel, we got 9K running backs and Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook. And it's a little different build for me on each site. So that's I just wanted to explain that. So it kind of makes sense to you how I'm building.
I kind of like the Darrell Henderson call. I think a lot of people are going to be on Gaskin this week. Let's talk about your process here because you do have Henderson on there. You don't have Gaskin. Why Henderson over Gaskin?
Yeah, so I have specifically on FanDuel, I have Henderson, and yes, I have him over Gaskin. It's a $400 difference. I think for tournaments, Henderson's a great leverage play. He's too cheap. If you look at his price compared to on DK, I'm not playing him on DK, but on FanDuel, because the pricing's a little different, I just see him as a little more of a value play, and he has a pretty solid matchup. Everyone's on Gaskin. We don't really know what we're going to get with Tua. I mean, you would assume that they're confident in him, very confident in him, to sit Fitzpatrick and to go with Tua here in this spot against a pretty solid defense. Aaron Donald, Ramsey, they've got a decent pass rush. So you would assume they're comfortable with him throwing the ball down the field, and they're going to let him kind of play his game and do what he wants. And they're not just going to hand the ball off all day. But I don't know. Like, I just don't love Gaskins. I don't want to really mess with the Rams. I think the Rams are in a really solid spot. I like them to win. I don't really like Miami. I don't know. It's not a Tua thing. I'm not as confident. It's his first game. If you're a fan of Tua and you're really high on him and you think he's going to be a really good NFL quarterback, that's totally fine. But we've still seen rookies come in their first game, guys who end up being really good and they're really bad to start. Yep. So I don't know. Like to me, I'd rather be on the Rams side and fade. They've already shown that they don't love giving Gaskins the ball at the goal line anyways. Like it's just, they've already shown that a little. Now you put a quarterback in that's a little more mobile than Fitzpatrick. Like, what do they do here? I don't know, but I don't love it. And I don't love running the middle of Aaron Donald. That dude's a beast. He's so good. Double teams, it doesn't even matter. He's so good.
I think Williams versus Hunt's interesting too, because you got Henry, Williams, Hunt, Cook, Henderson. Like, I'm a little bit concerned about Williams today, especially if the Packers passing game really doesn't get going and the Vikings decide to stack.
Well, why are you if the wind hurts Rodgers from a down the field throwing perspective? Williams is the guy they'd want in a lot because he can pass protect. He can also catch the ball. He's their best pass catcher from the running back position, and he can still run the ball pretty good. So this all makes sense and fits Williams, in my opinion, perfectly to have a really strong game here. Obviously, it's just if you take away one element of the game, which is a big element, the play action down the field throws, even though it hasn't been that successful for Green Bay, they still use it. And if you take that away, it's just going to give more dump off opportunities, in my opinion, to the running back and the tight end. And then obviously Davante Adams, he doesn't need more opportunity. He's already getting as pretty much opportunity as you would like any player to get. So I don't really think I'm worried about any of Davante Adams, Jamal Williams, Dalvin Cook. The only thing you could say about the Minnesota guys that you're worried about, Justin Jefferson, is Green Bay gets up and the game script goes out the window for Dalvin Cook. I think that's the only thing that you might be worried about from a Dalvin Cook side is the game script. And again, I personally think this game stays close. So to me, I'm not as worried about that. But if you think Green Bay goes in there and stomps on Minnesota, I mean, Dalvin Cook's probably not the play for you.
Yeah, it really is fascinating, man. It's fascinating. We got interesting things from, Thielen eats the Packers alive too. You know?
Yeah. Like I would expect Jair Alexander is just on him the entire game.
Yeah.
You would expect. But he, ate against them in week 1. I will say in week 1, Justin Jefferson did not play that much. He was not as much of a thing as he is now. Now he's, I think he's clearly getting he's in his role. He has a strong role with this team. He's the number 2 guy to Thielen. Yes, he's number 2. But if Green Bay tries to take away Thielen, I think it sets up for Jefferson. And again, these guys short and intermediate routes, they can run them really well and they can get it done. Kirk Cousins is not the greatest quarterback. I agree. But it still sets up where if they can get the run game going and it's shorter third downs, it's going to be Jefferson and Thielen. It's going to be one of these two guys. I think it's Jefferson personally because I think they use Jair on Thielen.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell, anything?
Yeah, I think Lev Bell has a nice price on DK. If I can't believe we talked about him a little bit last week. Could you believe how much he got just last week in his first week? I was shocked. And I was expecting him to kind of get, I said it on the show, I did expect him to get a decent amount of work. I was even kind of shocked that I was kind of right in that scenario because dude just like came to the facility like a couple days ago and now he was in there for like 33% of the snaps already or something like that. I mean, this week, what is he getting? 50% against his old team? That they're going to want to get him in the box. Like I know people have already talked about it, but him scoring a touchdown, I feel like is very, very likely here because they're going to be able to get whatever they want. So my worry again is that in the end of the third or the start of the fourth quarter, all of the guys are out. They're playing DeAndre Washington, their backup quarterback, Henny, and all the Pringle and all those other guys. So that's my worry with their whole team is that spot.
I am going to completely agree with you on this. Okay, let's get to the questions. We got a lot of questions. Okay, guys. So let's fly through them. We don't need too much explanation. We can get into more stuff later. Burrow or Herbert? FanDuel single entry. Brandon wants to know.
I'm going Burrow.
Hunt or Kittle? Both are about the same price. Asked Pinche Baracho. That's not a nice thing to say, drunk dickhead. That's a horrible name. Go on. Hunt or Kittle? If you have,
I think Hunt is a little safer. I probably go with Hunt.
Go with Hunt. FanDuel single entry to like Mahomes. We kind of talked about him. JSU's kind of off him, I would say. Not speaking for you, but just listening
No,
to you.
yeah, you can speak for me there. I'm off of him.
Cincinnati lost another starting offensive lineman. Yes, we discussed that. Burrow could be running quite a bit in this game. I mean, that would be good if Burrow's running, right?
I agree.
Get us 30 yards.
I honestly think they're going to roll him out more. They're going to get him on the move. Like that's what you do to kind of protect your offensive line, protect your quarterback. Shorter passes are a given anyways. Like he's gonna be throwing shorter passes. I think it'll affect like guys like AJ Green to me who need that time to get those down the field, throws. So that's why I like Tyler Boyd a little bit more, and I think he's a little safer. But yeah.
JSU, usually this is Redman. You're usually a big Galladay guy. Why isn't he in your tiers this week?
I already answered that question. That was the Galladay question I answered.
Right. Williams
it's a good
or AJ
question
Green?
too.
DKGPP.
Who is it?
Mike Williams, AJ Green, DKGPP.
I think I'm going Mike Williams there.
Chad wants to know running back wide receiver combo. Do I go Jonathan Taylor and Devontae Adams or Dalvin and Metcalf? Ooh, I like that Dalvin Metcalf.
I'm going the Dalvin and Metcalf route.
Yeah. Kareem Hunt or Kittle, DKGPP. Did we ask that yet? I don't know.
Yes. My answer, I think Kareem Hunt is safer in that
that's right.
spot. I mean, if you want, Kittle has as much upside, in my opinion, as anyone on the slate, really. The dude is a beast. So if you're looking for, the upside play, it might be Kittle in this scenario. But I think Hunt is safer. Depending on if you're playing in a large field GPP, I might roll out Kittle in the flex. Because that would mean you're rolling out a 2 tight end build, which I think will be very different.
Yeah, I actually have a 2 tight end build with him. And that's fascinating because there's a couple other tight ends I don't think are in the worst spots, like Jared Cook this week. Is he in the worst spot in the world if they're going to pass? I don't think so.
No, I mean, he doesn't get a ton of volume, but he gets looks when they get in the red zone and the end zone. That's for sure.
That's a FanDuel thing for me. Excuse me. Let's see here. Who do you pair with Mahomes? Ask Cody.
Who do you pair with Mahomes? I think on DraftKings, the popular pairing will be Tyreek Hill. I think the sneaky guy is Mecole Hardman. That's personally who I would roll with. But Tyreek Hill is the safer pairing.
Did we talk about Mims yet? Might have missed that.
Did
we get much into the Jets wide receivers?
We have not talked that much about the Jets. So I think Mims, because he's so cheap, is in play. I don't love the Jets here, but you can't argue with the fact that he's probably going to see 6 or 7 targets at least in this game, and he's 3,200. So I can't argue with it. And they're going to be playing from behind most of this game. It's not an easy matchup, right? This game is in Kansas City, I'm pretty sure, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and the defense has been solid, especially against the pass. Where you get them is against the run. So, I mean, if the Jets can get any semblance of a running game going, and then it might open up the passing game. But if they can't get anything on the ground, it's going to be really hard to get stuff going on the pass. So I'm not going crazy over on Mims, but I do think he's so cheap. You can't just dismiss him.
The inactives, I'm just rolling through the inactives here, and we'll get more. I think Bakhtiari being out for the Packers will be interesting. I mean, that's his left tackle. We knew he was probably gone, though, right?
Yeah. That's obviously a big deal for that offensive line, but they still got a plus matchup. So it's not, if they were going against a solid pass rush team, I'd be a little more worried. But it's against Minnesota, and they just traded their best pass rusher in Ndakwe anyways, like 2 weeks ago. So
absolutely. Carson will be game time. Philip Lindsay is expected to play today. If you didn't know, Allen Robinson's in there. He passed concussion protocol.
I just want to say, I said about Robinson, it's funny how it seems like all these bigger names, for whatever reason, get a concussion on Sunday like everyone else that gets a concussion. And then somehow these bigger names just pass the concussion protocol more often than not and get in Sunday. Then all these other guys that we don't hear about. It's just funny to me how that works. I feel like most guys, when they get a concussion on Sunday, aren't available to play, but there's a very small amount of people, the stars pretty much, where somehow they're able to play. I don't really get that.
I do. I mean, they're trying to win games and make money. So it's like, and then the doctor will say, we don't do that.
So you agree with me. They're just pushing him to play, whether
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Guys used to play with like broken arms and they'd put a cast with metal in it and they just slam the guy across the head. I'm
just saying, like,
yeah, those guys are nuts, man. Have you ever seen North Dallas 40? Have you watched the movie?
No.
Oh, you gotta watch. It's probably the best football movie out there. It's about NFL in the 70s. Please watch that movie. Like, guys in the chat, if you've seen North Dallas 40, tell them to watch it. It's too good. These dudes
I'll have to watch it.
Drunk.
I'll have to watch it.
Always drunk, popping pills, smoking joints, trying to get past the pain. It's fast. It really is. That was football in the 70s. Like, if you broke something, you better go back out there or you lose your job. That's it. And now we're looking at it again. Trying to decide between Deontay Harris and Mims from the Jets on DK and FanDuel. Any thoughts there?
Deontay Harris or Mims?
Mims is fine.
I guess I would go Mims there. Deontay Harris. I mean, they don't have anyone in New Orleans to throw the ball to. It's like Deontay Harris, Traquan Smith, Austin Carr, a bunch of dudes off the street. Like, Taysom Hill's probably going to get some looks. I mean, I don't know, man. It's tough because they don't really have anyone. But remember, Deontay Harris, he's more of like the big play guy. Wins could affect what they really want to use him for. And yeah, will he catch some underneath routes because that's what they're going to run because Drew Brees can barely throw the football? Yes. But they like to take advantage, use him for like the trickery plays with Taysom throwing the ball and doing stuff like that. They're not going to be able to do that if the wind is that impactful.
Yeah. Hunt or Kittle, DK flex. We kind of talked about that, right?
Yeah. I think that if you're trying to be really contrarian and you're playing the 2 tight end build in a large field tournament, I don't mind that. I think Hunt is the safer route. Hey,
we talked about the Steelers wide receivers. C. Hanlon keeps asking, why no love for Deontay Johnson? I mean, he could blow up. He could also leave the game with another injury, and it could also be another wide receiver.
The no love for Deontay Johnson is mainly because there's just 3 or 4 other options that legitimately could get the ball. And yes, Deontay Johnson's looked the best. I agree with anyone. Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool, in my eyes, are the 2 best receivers on that team. Yes. Better than Juju already. Like it is clear to me already. But it's just a crapshoot. I mean, if you want to take the dice and roll it on one of these guys, they got a tough matchup. It's not going to be easy. I mean, but if you project they're going to score a bunch of points and you like you want to play one of these receivers, go for it. I mean, I think Deontay Johnson's probably, the safest one for what he's been doing consistently. But I don't know. I just can't get on board on that game. I just can't get on board with that game.
Daniel wants to know Josh Jacobs or Edwards-Helaire.
Josh Jacobs or Edwards-Helaire. I'm not playing either, but I think I would lean Jacobs.
Brandon wants to know if you have any suggestions on defense. Do I just punt? I think you can punt with the Saints this week, can't you?
So the Saints on FanDuel are 3,600. I like them if you're not paying up for Kansas City. On DraftKings, I think that if you're not paying up for the Chiefs, who are very expensive, the Bears at 2,800 is a really solid price. Cleveland Browns are 2,600,
26.
sorry. And they're a nice price. The Bills and Patriots, but it's going to be some crazy win there. I think you could look at them. Saints at 3,400. But yeah, to me, I like the route of playing the Bears or the Browns if you're not going up to the Chiefs.
Favorite Cincinnati wide receiver? It's Tyler Boyd for you. You like Tyler
Boyd? Yep. Tyler Boyd. On DraftKings, if you wanted to take the 1,000 discount, go to T. Higgins. I don't hate it. But if you're just saying overall, I like Tyler Boyd the most.
Okay. Cash game locks today. You don't play cash. I'll just throw out the guys in my core, okay?
Yeah,
Burrow
I mean, if you want the cash game locks too, you can always just look at Hoop Score as well.
and Hoop and
Yeah,
Mangone. Yeah.
Mangone. Yep.
Just in my court today, I got Garoppolo, Hunt, Williams, Keenan Allen. Those are and Kittle. Those are the bigger names that I got. And then you can figure out whether you want Henry or Kamara. We didn't talk about Kamara. Why isn't anyone talking Kamara?
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like because he didn't get in that, maybe because he didn't get in the end zone last week and he didn't have that like monster game, people are just, maybe he gets left off the waist. Maybe everyone's going Henry and Hunt, and Kamara gets a little lower ownership. I think on FanDuel that could definitely be the case. Now on DraftKings you get the PPR, so he gets a little more upside on DraftKings, but definitely to me a very safe option.
Why don't you guys love Keenan Allen? Asked Chris. I like Keenan Allen. I like Keenan Allen a lot this week. I you know what? Did I throw him in my? I got him in my cash lineup too. So
yeah, I think he's on DraftKings. He's definitely cash viable at 6,200. I personally, he's a spot where I'm gonna fade. I think if you watch Justin Herbert, one thing he does really well is spread the ball around. And yeah, Keenan Allen's one of the guys where he'll pepper him at times, but the fact that he's comfortable throwing touchdowns to Virgil Green and Donald Parham and it could be Hunter Henry this week. Jalen Guyton feels like he catches a bomb every other game. Like they have some good options that really could, outshine where Keenan Allen just has an okay game, whereas in GPPs you don't need him. In cash though, I think he's got a very safe floor, right? Because I think he gives you that 7-8 target floor. Honestly, I think he's getting 7 targets. So just depends. I think this is a tougher game too. Denver's a good defense. This is not as easy of a matchup. Denver is pretty solid in Denver, I'm pretty sure. So I'm gonna be off the Keenan chalk. Don't mind taking a shot with a guy like Jalen Guyton too. No one's talking about him, but 3,600. He's a bomb. He's a bomb away from 60 and a touchdown. Or if he does anything else, it's kind of gravy. And on this slate, where I project it to be more of a lower scoring slate, not like last week's slate where it was very high scoring. If you think this slate is going to be lower scoring, you might just need a guy who, if Guyton gets you 12 or he just does that touchdown, gets that one catch and 50 yards or whatever it is, 60 yards, he gets you that 12 or 13 points. You might honestly be just fine with it. You know what I mean? Whereas last week, you might not have been as fine if he just got you 12 or 13.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Some of these calls here this week. Why do you like Bourne, JSU? Ask problem. Yeah,
so I think that, first of all, one of the things that we have to look at is Richie James. I'm pretty sure he was the 4th receiver. I think he's doubtful or out. I don't know if it's been confirmed out. Holden, do you?
Yeah, I'm looking through the inactives right now. So give me just a minute.
He's been ruled out. So yeah, he's been ruled out. And he was one of the guys that has been seeing, some work offensively. Now they have pretty much, 4 receivers, I guess, that are healthy. Ayuk, Bourne, Trent Taylor, and Pettis. They don't like Pettis. They never liked Pettis. Even when he was doing stuff, it seemed like they didn't really like him. They always like Bourne, plays on the outside. Ayuk is going to play a ton. And then Trent Taylor he's pretty much a slot guy. So he's only going to play in 3 wide receiver sets mainly. They like to play double tight ends a lot. I think this leads to just pretty much Ayuk and Bourne seeing 80 to 90% of the snaps.
Wow.
And if you're giving me a $3,500 or $3,500 receiver when I'm playing the quarterback Jimmy G a lot because he's cheap and I'm getting that discount on DraftKings, it just opens up so much for me where I'm just going to roll with it. He's so cheap. He doesn't have to do that much to hit value. And they look to him, honestly, like he could we've seen him score touchdowns. Like he's done it before. He can have that decent game where he gets you that, 12 to 15 points and you're very happy. I just think that, he's going to see 80, 90%. They like him. They play him all the time. Even when their guys are healthy, he plays a good amount.
I don't think there's any monster inactives for the 1 o'clocks. A lot of them
I don't either.
Yeah, and the 4 o'clocks are where we got guys, Callaway was kind of an important one for some people. They wanted to play Callaway this week. He's out. Edelman's gone for multiple weeks. No N'Keal Harry with the Patriots. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. Is this James White? This all about James White today?
They're going to play. They're going to play running backs all over the place. I don't even know. Like the Patriots are a perfect example. I said it on the Friday show where, 1 week James White sees 50% of the snaps. Next week he sees 19 and Burkhead sees 40 something. It's like, and then they play, who was it? Was it the Chiefs when Harris was activated from IR and ran all over them and he played a good amount. It's all about the matchup. Really is. Belichick, like they'll play whoever they think they're going to need to win the matchup. If they think they have a plus on the ground against the Bills, which I think coming into it, I think they're going to do. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if this game stays close, if Harris was the guy who led snaps. It wouldn't even shock me. I'm telling you, this Patriots team, I wouldn't touch it, man. It's just too hard to predict. It is way too hard to predict.
They're bad. They're just bad right now. It's just a bad football team. Hey, so on the other side with Gilmore out again, windy day, Stephon Diggs.
I mean, windy day. The down the field throwing of Josh Allen is definitely going to hurt. He's not going to have that element as much. It's going to affect there. I think Diggs is in play, but the way Belichick schemes, he takes away the number one option, which I think hurts Diggs, or he tries to anyways. And a lot of times he'll throw Gilmore on the number 2 and just man him up and play bracket coverage on the number 1 guy sometimes. We'll just double one guy and throw Gilmore on the other guy sometimes. So I don't know. I don't love it.
You don't love it. Let's see. I'm trying to find this next one. Oh, if Tevin Coleman's active, do you like him at 4K? You kind of said you did to fall in the end zone, maybe. If he's not active, do you consider the other two? Who is that? JaMychal Hasty and McKinnon?
So I'm not playing McKinnon. Tired legs. What is tired legs?
What the hell is that?
Put him on IR or something with tired legs. Someone please, I want to see that. Just put him on IR with tired legs.
If you're just joining us
last week because of tired legs.
If you have not paid attention to this is legitimately what was out. The report out there is that McKinnon has tired legs. So why are we on JaMychal Hasty then?
I mean, listen, if Tevin Coleman if they say he's not going to play that much, then I'll probably play some Hastings. I probably will play him a little bit in the Tevin spot. But I don't know. I just feel if he's active, which they activate him off IR, I assume he's going to play. That means so. I just don't see how he's not the main guy. I just don't see, if they get in goal line situations, how are they not letting Tevin? Tevin's definitely going to be the guy. They use Mostert and Wilson were the other 2 guys you had to worry about in those goal line situations. They're the ones that are gone. It's not McKinnon stealing. Even if McKinnon plays, he's not going to steal goal line carries from Tevin Coleman. Maybe Hastings will. Maybe he will. But I just don't see it. I see Coleman as the guy as long as he's 100% in. The problem also is with Hasty is they're $1,000 different. I mean, that's the issue right there. So
that's a big one.
I mean, you definitely want to have a swap if Tevin somehow is, out. Now, maybe it's DJ Dallas. If Carson gets ruled out, who knows with that situation, right? We don't know what's going to happen. Homer, Carson, they're both questionable to play. My assumption is that one of them will play and one of them won't. Don't really know who that is. That's what I think is going to happen. Honestly, they'll both probably go out there and test it out, and whoever one feels the best will probably end up playing the most. But what if they both go out? Like, I don't think it's going to happen, but if they do, DJ Dallas is 4K. And no one's going to be able to swap to him after the fact.
It's so uncomfortable.
But no one's going to be able to swap to him after the fact. So if you do play Tevin and then somehow hear news that, man, Carson's out, Homer, maybe you get news that Homer's going to play, but he's limited. That just means that DJ Dallas is going to have a bigger role. I don't know, so it's a thought process here. But either way, I would definitely, have a swap in mind and play Coleman in the flex or something, or have a running back idea, a 2v2, something in the later games. Maybe you got to get off Kittle and go somewhere. I don't know, but you definitely have an idea.
How much exposure do you have to Derrick Henry today?
I have a good amount of exposure to Derrick Henry. Like the matchup for him. Hate that he loses Taylor Lewan for the year. But I mean, that was last week too, but that's a huge loss to their offensive line. But the way I see this game playing out is they're going to be able to score at will on this Cincinnati team. And if I think they can just score consistently on this team, then I mean, Derrick Henry is going to get opportunity to score touchdowns. And so I just can't fade that here. I'm definitely going to play Derrick Henry. I have him a good amount.
I know. It's like, for me, it's cash. It's like, do I go Kamara or do I go Henry? So yeah,
I ended up being underweight on Kamara and playing Dalvin and Derrick and then Hunt. It was in that order pretty much.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really interesting to see what Kamara's ownership is today.
I'm excited to see what Dalvin and Kamara's ownership are going to be, because I do think Derrick Henry is going to be extremely popular. I do think Kareem Hunt will be. Dalvin and Kamara, I'm like starting. I hope that Dalvin is still what I think he is, which is going to be like 10 to 15%.
You think that's
on
it?
DK? I do. I think people are afraid to play him coming off the injury.
Yeah,
I might be wrong. I don't know.
I am not.
I'll tell you, on FanDuel at 9,200 or wherever he is, he'll definitely be low owned on FanDuel. Like everyone in that spot is getting Henry, in my opinion.
B Harriet 44. Hey, what JSU? Who's the best wide receiver under 5K on DraftKings this week?
Best wide receiver under 5K. I mean, I like Bourne a lot. At 3,500, if you want to go that cheap. Mims is there. I don't mind Traquan Smith as well. I know he didn't do anything last game, but they lose Callaway. Deontay Harris is more of just a Swiss Army knife type weapon. So I see more volume going his way. And so if that's the case, then they just have no one left. Like he has to get some volume in this game more than last week with Callaway out. And it's not an easy matchup. That's for sure. The Bears are a tough team, but I think he's interesting. And on a normal slate with all these people out, Traquan would be much higher owned, but because of the wind and all these situations here, he's not going to be. So it's an interesting leverage spot.
What about Big T special T.Y. Hilton?
I don't mind T.Y. Hilton here in this spot. I like picking on. I think that this Detroit Indy game is really interesting from this standpoint. I do think both teams will be able to put up some points. I'm very high on Detroit as a team. I think they win this game outright, and I know they're the dogs in this game, but I think they win this game outright. I think they're the better team overall, personally. But I do see this game being somewhat close, and I do see Indy being able to put points up on Detroit. And you can get the big plays, against Detroit. They can give up some big plays. I think T.Y. Hilton is a real interesting large field GPP option.
Yes, Jedediah. We talked about Tevin Coleman. It could be Tevin Coleman's season if he plays and he falls in the end zone 2 times.
It absolutely could be.
Yeah. Austin's debating defense right now. Thoughts on the Chiefs and Gaskin, or do I go Browns and Kittle? You're going to go Browns and Kittle.
Chiefs and I'll probably go the Brown and Kittle route. I will say this, one thing about Tevin too is, remember, Jimmy G likes to throw the ball like 1 yard down the field. So in reality, with all these receivers out, it also boosts the fact that maybe the running backs get more involved in the passing game. I'm just saying, they use screenplays a lot. They did it with Mostert a ton. And Tevin Coleman can catch balls. Like he can do stuff like that too. So he's got a little upside in that game. And I'm just saying, like, if he's in there, which we don't know 100%, but if he is, then I think he's a really interesting play.
I am going to agree with you here. We got LaMichael Pirine. I mean, come on.
Again, you want a running back that's going to play 70% of the snaps and has a really bad game script, but's going to play and is going to probably get a bunch of dump offs because they're going to be trailing, and Chiefs will probably play prevent defense for a quarter and a half of this game. Like, that's a large field play though. You just got to hope that he gets a bunch of dump offs and gets a lucky, garbage time touchdown.
Yeah, you're hoping for a garbage time touchdown. Just hold your breath. Okay.
It's same thing with Mims though. You're playing Mims honestly in the hopes that in garbage time he just gets it done. Like, I think if anything, it's in the end when they're, like I said, playing prevent defense, just trying to get out of there, where they're just like, that's fine, get all the underneath stuff. Like, we'll give you the 10 yards, just, keep the game going. They want to get out of there.
Any final thoughts you got before we run? Get out of here?
No, I mean, I think that like I have in my core and I have it up in my slate plan, make sure you guys all check all that stuff, all the content out. And if you have any questions on any of the content, like, obviously we do the show, but if you have any questions, like, you can always hit me up in Discord, shoot me a DM. Like, I'm very willing to answer why I have my tiers the way they are, or who I have, or anything like that. Like, always shoot me a question. Like, definitely down to, give you guys an answer on that, because there's always a reason.
Yeah. And I just figured this out last week, JSU, to go look at the tiers, because that you mentioned that, and I said, okay, forget about the core. Well, use the core plays, but also go to the tiers to think of the thought process, how to put the puzzle together. That to me is what it is. So that's all. Good luck. Get in the Discord if you got any questions. Guys are chomping at the bit to talk about that. The guy that said T.Y. Hilton is more like T.Y. Motel 6. I get it, man. Dad jokes. You better have kids to tell that joke, because if you don't, just shut it down, buddy.
He's got to have kids to tell that joke.
Yeah, you cannot tell that. Dallas 40. Go watch that. Everybody have a great day today. JSU, listen, I've got to remind you, go in the Discord. The NFL, they're talking about it right now. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff. My Sunday special, somebody just brought up, what's his name? J.K. Dobbins. There you go. I like J.K. Dobbins this week. I got to tell you, the Steelers are a team that can get beaten by the pass to the running back. So there you go.
And then Gus the Bus somehow gets in there and scores a garbage touchdown.
Totally going to suck.
Or Justice Hill gets the receiving work. Good luck there. I mean, I don't know about that.
I know you don't.
You're reaching there.
I know. It's a big time reach. It's just like David and Jokey last week.
Make sure you guys make sure you check out the bet side too. Those guys are going to be live pretty much all day today, right? They go live and they're on all day, right, Holden?
Yeah, they're on all day through the 4:00 games. I'm trying to get them to do a Sunday night game. I mean, I'm not doing anything. Come on. By Sunday night, I'm finally done with work. And I get
Sunday night. Oh, if you're playing Yahoo, make sure, check out Sunday night game that's going to be a nice spot over there. You got Boston Scott at $18 over there. He's just so cheap on Yahoo.
Last note for you, Ian Rappaport, Gardner Minshew expected to be benched for Glennon next week. So way to go, Jags. Are they trying to lose? Well, Minshew stinks, but I think they're trying to lose even more. Like they did too well.
What's their record?
They've won a couple of games, man.
They have.
I don't think they're as bad as, they are really a bad team, because we saw what they did against, who was it last week?
It's starting though, Holden, where
Chargers
teams are slowly realizing that they're starting to have no hope, and now they're like, you know what, we're behind. We got to start losing more games.
Jags are 1-6. They've been in some games.
They saw the Patriots. They think the Patriots are about to start pulling the tanking thing, and they can't let the Patriots get a leg up on them.
Oh my God, could you imagine that? Ugh. I mean, that's brutal. Yeah, I mean, we got the Jets at 0-7, so if Adam Gase wants to keep his job, he better lose his next 9 games.
I can't wait to watch Antonio Brown next week. That's going to be the best thing for me.
They're already saying he looks amazing.
I'm sure he does. I'm putting on. I would not doubt that dude looks. He's still in amazing shape.
Yep.
Him and Tom Brady probably, been playing pitch and catch. Over the COVID, summer break and all that stuff.
Summer break.
Well, no, it was like a COVID break. You know what I mean?
He told everyone to screw off because he wanted to do his thing.
Yeah, and Brady's his boy. He's always had his back. He never, he's always kind of defended him. So, like, I totally expect Brady to absolutely pummel Brown with looks. Godwin can never stay healthy. Mike Evans can never stay healthy. They don't want Gronk out there catching passes. Antonio Brown is going to be the best receiver on that team from a fantasy standpoint, I think. And I mean, I haven't seen him do anything. Obviously, they're saying he looks great. We won't really know, but man, I just expect him to just absolutely destroy.
Very good. All right, guys. Good luck. And ladies, hope everybody has a good day today. We'll talk to you later. Thanks to Simon a lot for running this show from behind the scenes. We got the live show on the bet side. And JSU, wonderful work once again, my friend.
Thank you as well, sir.
All right. Yes, you are a kind sir. Thank you very much.
All right. I'm never going to be polite to you again.
Keep running pure.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.